Quiet Corner. This is a Knitting and Handspinning podcast where I share about my love for all things fiber from my little corner of the world. My name is Vanessa and I'm coming to you from Ottawa, Canada. And other than on this channel, you can find me on Instagram at SeaSaltandStone. Hello, it's lovely to be back. Welcome. Welcome to this summer edition of the Quiet Corner. As you can probably tell, I was too hot to leave my hair down today, so we've got a messy bun going on, and I was also too hot and lazy to set up the typical Quiet Corner backdrop with the Quiet Corner chair, so I hope you don't mind. We're trying out a new thing today. So it's just a bit more low maintenance. And I'm probably going to try to keep this episode a little short and sweet compared to my usual, just because I don't have a ton of progress on my projects, but I do have some fun acquisitions and also some new kind of weaving adventures to share with you. I thought I would pop on here. I know I'm a bit overdue for a podcast, but life has been busy, and Dan and I also got away for a nice week-long backcountry camping trip, which also took a lot of time the weeks leading up, just in terms of preparation, and I think that definitely kind of like took a lot of some of my mental energy, and so I just didn't get as much knitting done as I typically would. But anyway, I'm here now. It's all good. I hope that you're all doing well, and I'm just so glad that you've joined me in this space for today. I should also mention I do have some fans going in the room, and so you might hear a bit more background noise than usual. I hope it's not too distracting. And it's also raining right now, thank goodness. Like, we really need some rain. It was 40 degrees with the humidex the last, I think, 2 or 3 days in a row. And we have air conditioning in our bedroom, but we don't have central air throughout the whole apartment. So I am thankful for the rain right now, for sure. So it's raining, so you can hear you can probably hear the traffic outside a bit more as well. Anyhow, so where to begin? I am drinking some tea today, and it's almost done. I'm gonna have to probably make some more soon. But this is a black tea from Sun Moon Lake in Taiwan. And it doesn't say, I don't know if it's just Sun Moon Lake tea. If any of you know, let me know. But I don't see like another name on the packaging. And this was given to me for a birthday by 2 friends of mine who are like tea connoisseurs. And it's just lovely. I made it earlier this morning and I let it cool. And so now it's quite refreshing. I don't have any essential oils diffusing today, but I thought it would be fun to show you my essential oil necklace. This is a really neat little thing that I've been wearing a lot more lately, actually. I'll show you. This was actually a gift from my mom. I don't know where she got it, but I know that there are lots of them out there. So the neat little thing about it is it actually opens up. It opens up, and then it comes with all these little different colored felt inserts. So it comes with a package of them like this. And what you do is you just drop some essential oils on them. I used just some pure organic lemon essential oil today, because it smells delicious. So you just drop it on there, and then you pop it in your necklace. And then you get whiffs of this like refreshing aromatherapy throughout the day. Oh, that's not going to go over the hair bun. And I even did the blue felt pad today because it would match my outfit. So I did put some effort into my appearance for this podcast. So nice. I guess we can jump right into finished objects. I only have a couple of little things to show you. The first is the Terribly Simple shawl. Which you've seen on previous podcasts if you've watched the previous episodes. This was a work in progress last time, and it's finished now. I even washed and blocked it yesterday, and I am really super happy with this. It's knit with my own hand spun, so that makes it extra precious. And honestly, I am in love with the shape of this shawl. I just think that the way that I would wear this is kind of like with the ends tucked in, but you can leave them down if you like. But I really love the way that it sits. So I am pretty sure that I am gifting this knit to someone very special. It's for my other grandmother, actually. So the slippers that you saw in a previous episode were for my grandma on my mom's side, and this will be for my grandma on my dad's side. And both of my grandmothers and my mother, probably my mother especially, have been huge influences in my life in terms of just like fostering creativity and making things with your hands, and all of them have had a huge role to play in terms of inspiring me when I was younger. My grandma on my dad's side, she's my Acadian grandma, actually, so we call her Mamie. And yeah, so my Mamie is an avid quilter. She has been for her entire life. And I remember spending many weeks and weekends with her in her craft room. And she was the first to show me how to knit. But whenever I spent time with her, it was just, I was always doing something creative, and she always had something around for me to create with. So I thought that it would be kind of neat to gift her something that's kind of a result of kind of where I'm at today, in part because of the things that she taught me and encouraged in me. So that's kind of why I wanted to do that for both of my grandmothers recently. My other grandma, she was like, on my mom's side, she was the first to actually show me how to knit a pair of mittens. Yeah, I think it was mittens, which was probably the most complex knitting project I had done earlier in my knitting career, so that's really neat too. And then my mom, who I haven't really talked about a whole lot on this podcast, but totally should. My mom is, she's actually a weaver, and that's been like her passion throughout my life. Although I think when she had all of her babies, it was kind of set aside for some time, but she has slowly started to get back into weaving and spinning as well. She also spins. And so I remember I grew up in a house with a huge floor loom, and my mother was someone who would host these like Saturday afternoon making sessions in our attic growing up. And so like a dozen women would come over. There would be like a childcare setup in another room of the house. And I remember growing up with these like Saturday afternoon crafting sessions where they would be, some women would be painting. My mom did a lot of silk painting growing up, and watercolor, and others would be working with fiber arts and other mediums. And it was just this like very lively creative experience as a kid, and that I think had a lot to do with why I am so passionate about creativity now. And my parents also, for a brief period in time, they raised merino sheep. So we had a little merino sheep farm, and we had chickens and I think ducks as well. And so kind of that love of fiber and the fiber arts is just in my bones. So thanks, Mom, and thanks, Grandmas. The only other little FOs I have to show you today are a couple of little weaving projects, because I got the weaving bug over the past month, which I never thought would happen. I had always observed my mother's weaving and her passion for weaving growing up, and spinning as well, but I thought I'll never get into those things. Like, it's just not quite up my alley. Lo and behold, I'm completely obsessed with spinning now. And over the past year, I kept hearing about other spinners and knitters talking about weaving, and I was still like, no, I don't think I'll ever get the weaving bug. And then all of a sudden, I just had this urge one day to try a frame loom, just to see if could I enjoy weaving? And so I started out with this tiny little frame, and I just warped it with cotton yarn in figure eights around the frame. And then I had a little a shed stick with a knitting needle, and I was just weaving through with a tapestry needle. And I made these 2 little coaster / dishcloth type thingies. And I have to say that like a few rows in, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's something about the woven cloth and the process of like warp and weft and just how the fabric comes out. I don't know how to explain it, but I think I have a weaving bug. And I think I see a loom in my future. And it all started with a little coaster. So after I tried that, I actually went and got a larger frame. Don't know if you'll be able to see all of this, but it's a larger frame. And I put some hooks on the back so that I could attach the warp to dowels, and then actually have it not be fully continuous, a fully continuous warp, but basically what it means is I can move the dowels around in like a circle, or almost a circle, so that eventually I can actually weave right up to the top. And that just means that I can get a bit more length, so I'm not quite as limited by the size of the frame. And then I just created some like very rudimentary tools to make the process a bit easier. Like these little shed sticks are made from craft sticks, and that's what you use to create a shed between your alternating weft threads, and then you pass the shuttle, and I'm using a wooden spatula for the shuttle. Then you, well, realistically it would be down here, and then you pass the shuttle through that shed that's in between, and then you do that in one direction, and then you need the weft threads to alternate for the other direction. So I created a heddle rod. So it means that I'll be lifting the opposite threads that this shed stick lifts. So if you see here, the shed stick lifts these top ones. And then when I close that shed and I lift this heddle stick, it lifts the opposite threads, the threads that would have been on the bottom when I had this shed stick open. And then I can pass my shuttle through the other direction, and it creates a plain weave pattern without me having to go through with a tapestry needle every second row. So it's pretty efficient for a little frame loom, and it's enough to keep me busy until I have my own little rigid heddle. So, and I think that's just going to be a dishcloth or something. But the first project that I did with this, I just created a small kind of foot-long piece of fabric, and I sewed it into this little pouch. And right now I just have more balls of cotton yarn in there that I'm using for this dishcloth project. So yeah, it's my first little woven pouch. Just pretty cute. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that and just dreaming about the loom that is in my future. And because I am crazy, I found this huge picture frame in someone's garbage, and I have plans to turn that into a large frame loom. So we'll see what happens with that. I've also been shaving and carving some really nice sticks that I've acquired. So I'm turning them basically into dowels. And I'll either use those as part of my frame looms for the shed sticks, or I'll use them to create like a backstrap weaving loom. I could also use them to turn my larger frame into a Navajo style weaving frame. There's so many possibilities. So my mind has kind of been going a little wild with making looms. It's so funny. I go through so many phases. So yeah, so that's my FOs. All right, so for works in progress, just a couple little things to show you. Like I said, didn't get a lot of progress done on knitting, but these gift knit socks, I almost have them to the heel. And then I think I'll be done with gift knitting for quite a while. And I'm still really excited to cast on my hand spun socks after these. But yeah, so these are just Patton's Croy stashed sock yarn. I'm knitting them on my usual 2.25 millimeter US size 1 Chiagu circular needles. And they are coming along slow and steady. And then I have my Rift tee. And my Rift tee, I've been knitting in the Queensland collection with their cotton wool blend. And I can't remember if this had a colorway or not. No, it's just, oh yeah, Celestine. It's that their light blue colorway. And again, not very far along, but I have finished the body. And I'm at the point where I will be starting to, I think, create the V-neck or the neckline, and then the sleeves. So in all honesty, if I sat down for a day or two, I could probably finish this pretty quickly. Yeah, I just haven't put in the time, but I will get there. And it's really soft. It's gonna be lovely. It's gonna be lovely to wear like spring, summer. And I think it will go with a lot of things in my wardrobe already, which is the whole point. And that's kind of been a huge goal of mine, has just been to work on my capsule wardrobe, because I'm passionate about sustainable clothing and building a minimalist wardrobe that's mostly handmade. And I would love to talk more about that on this podcast eventually, and kind of my plans for my sustainable wardrobe. Because knitting and spinning and maybe weaving now, I think will be all a huge part of creating my sustainable wardrobe. So that is really all I have for works in progress. All right, in terms of spinning, also with spinning, I haven't been doing a ton. I just have this one project on the wheel, which you probably would have seen if you watched the last episode, I think. I'm just spinning up some, I have like a huge pile of roll eggs that I blended with merino and Ashford Corriedale. And so I've been spinning those roll eggs up. I'm kind of pre-drafting the roll eggs and spinning them with a short forward draw. The singles are about a fingering weight, and so when I ply, I'm aiming for a DK weight yarn. But to be honest, with this project, I'm really not paying attention to consistency at all. I've been spinning actually, in the dark while we watch movies and stuff in the evenings. So I'm really not paying attention to consistency, and I can tell every time I do my ply back test that I'm getting lots of thick and thin bits. So the finished yarn it's not going to have that excitement for me that I had, for example, with my sock yarn, because it took so much effort. There's something for me about having a finished yarn that takes a lot of effort, and has that consistency that I love. And that is by no means a standard for it doesn't need to be a standard for everyone at all. I think we all love different things about our hand spun, and that's beautiful. And I think that we can spin with almost anything, we can knit with almost any of our hand spun. Oftentimes we just have to kind of like get over that mental hump of it's not good enough. And I think, Sarah Bone was talking about this on her podcast, Crafting with Compassion, which I just so appreciated. And I think we need to talk about that more. Our yarns don't have to look like store-bought commercial yarn to knit with them. Not at all. And a huge part of the appeal and the journey is to embrace the fact that our hand spun looks like it's handmade. So anyway, all that to say is I'm just going with the flow with this project, and I'll swatch with it when I'm finished, and I'll see what it is telling me that it wants to be. Again, it may not give me the same kind of elation as consistent sock yarn, but nonetheless, I have to say, I think my favorite thing about this FIBRE blend is the colors. Yeah, can you tell? I mean, we're matching. But yeah, I love the deep blue and the neon, like those hints of neon purple that get blended in with the gray and muted. And I think I will actually fall in love with the finished yarn. It's just not my typical yarn. So that's the only project I have on the wheel, and it's going very, very slowly, but I'm just gonna be okay with that, I think. The only other thing I wanted to share with you, in terms of spinning, were my latest acquisitions. I'm still waiting for my first fleece to arrive in the mail, but I've heard from Robin at Nice Dock Farms that it is on its way. So that's really exciting. And it's going to be a small half fleece, which is perfect. I'm kind of envisioning that I'll spend the summer kind of slowly washing and processing the fleece. And then in the fall, I will spin it, and then maybe late fall, early winter, knit with it. I kind of like the idea of having following a project from, fleece to finished object over a few seasons, and just really kind of soaking up that process. So anyway, while I wait, I have a few new books that I thought I would just share with you briefly. If you're a spinner, you're probably already very familiar with these, but it's still exciting to share, and I will link them down below in case you haven't heard about them. So I have the Spinner's Book of Fleece by Beth Smith. And this is a breed by breed guide to choosing and spinning the perfect fiber for every purpose. And then I also purchased Yarnitecture by Jillian Moreno. And this is a knitter's guide to spinning, building exactly the yarn you want. And then the third and final book is the Fleece and Fiber Source book by Deborah Robson and Carol Acarius. And it has more than 200 fibers from animal to spun yarn, it says. So sheep, goats, alpacas, llamas, vicunas, camels, bison, musk oxen, yaks, and more. And so this is like the fiber Bible. And I thought that the three of these would go really well together to kind of start to form my spinner's library. I've been wanting to start my spinner's library for a while, and so it's really exciting to have these books at the ready. My kind of thinking around them was that I would start with the Spinner's Book of Fleece in terms of a book that I read from cover to cover, and then I can also always go back to use it as a reference guide. But I think it's a really good foundation because Beth, she goes into, the different breeds, but also the different techniques and results that you can get with different techniques and different breeds. And it's kind of like these mini breed studies throughout the book. And when I say mini, I don't mean that it's lacking in content. I just mean, it's not the same if you yourself were to go and do a breed study. But it gives you a really good sense of how to approach different breeds. So I figured this would be a really good foundation and starting point. And then when I really want to kind of hone in on technique, to get exactly the yarn I'm looking for a particular project. I'm hoping that I will be able to go to Yarnitecture for that and really use this as a reference guide when I'm planning specific projects. And then of course, the Fleece and Fiber source book will be like a Bible for getting the gist about certain fleeces as I kind of wet my toes in the world of purchasing and processing fleece. So yeah, I'm really excited to soak up all of the knowledge from these books and these experts. So I think that's all I have for you today. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that I have been exploring some new podcasts over the last few months, and by no means have I watched all of the episodes of these new podcasts, but the ones that I have seen I've enjoyed, and so I thought I would just link them all down below for the sake of brevity, and so if you are looking for new knitting podcasts, you can just peruse down below. Just some really lovely makers who have just a lovely presence about them, and some of these podcasts in particular I would say are perfect if you are an HSP, highly sensitive person. If you're on the introverted side of things, some of these podcasts are just very like calming and quiet and not too overstimulating. So you'll see some of those down below as well. And others I've just really enjoyed. And I think it's so important for podcasters to promote and encourage one another. So I want to make it a point to every once in a while share and promote other podcasts. I've certainly noticed that, especially I think as an introvert and an HSP, it's a vulnerable thing to put yourself out in the public view on a regular basis. And so for that reason and many more, I really do care about encouraging and promoting other knitting podcasters out there. So I do hope that you'll go down and check out the list of podcasters I have down below. They're all incredibly creative and inspiring. So I think that's where I will close out for today. I do hope that you have a very makeful month until I see you again. And I hope that you're well and you're safe. And I hope to see you again sometime in probably August at this point, weather permitting. So thank you so much for joining me, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.